When everybody is trying to bring me down, I'm not at all supposed to leave my crown, because I'm not at all letting anybody else to take a touch of my crown. I'm not at all letting anybody else to take my chair, because I could be having to be like putting my foot across my table. I could be making it everybody being staring at it down, because I'm not at all staring at anybody else up. I could be rather like staring on everybody else down, do the rather thing, because I could be letting everybody else rather to stare up at me, at my shoes, because I'm not at all letting anybody else to make themselves feel. They could be having to be getting themselves being kind of like loose, but foot loose, pantaloons, whatever kind of a thing. I could be letting everybody else to feel ashamed of themselves, because I'm not at all doing the kind of a thing. Maybe any actual dressing for myself to look good, maybe making sure that I could be clean apart, because I'm making myself, getting myself being kind of like unrelated, getting myself being kind of like envisaged about some kind of a thing that is always in my mind. I'm happy to getting everybody else to feel like they could be doing the best for themselves but I'm not letting everybody else to themselves to make some kind of like excuse for myself worth, because my self worth is not being kind of like worth all a while. I'm making kind of like worth over the while, worthwhile meanwhile, because I'm not also survived for the surveillance of the factor, because my peripheral lecture for myself is not at all summarization of any skill, because I could be getting myself being kind of like deliverance of like deliberated to any kind of like divergence or any kind of like dilemma about my situation, because my like train chance or my pen chant for anybody else to not at all any kind of inspiration for myself want, and I could get everybody else to make sure they could be giving me no kind of a hit about this. I need everybody those are trying to get massive record do because they need to be done is not a part of my kind of one, because I want is not a being kind of like getting everybody else to make sure that we are wanting some sort of thing that is not kind of being wantable from my side, and everybody else that is kind of wanting for some kind of thing that is kind of being want me kind of like getting myself at a kind of like restiveness for myself for my, because my mindlessness mindfulness is not mindful for my activity, because my activity is not going to be kind of like driven for myself kind of want. At the same time people could be getting myself being kind of forgetful about themselves, because my themselves are the meantime is not all getting myself being kind of like unrelated kind of like getting myself being kind of like illicit about themselves to make themselves feel that they could be like preparing, making sure they could be like protruding their foot or not, but definitely their foot and their head before me. I could be kicking their head first, and I could be making sure that I could be like giving a smack of on their shin with the baseball bat, so as to break their shin off from their kind of a scene pad of guard. I could be letting everybody else to make no kind of excuse to make themselves being able to survive this like attorney test of time, because I'm not at all brutally in my mind, not at all heinous atrocious in my deed, because I'm letting everybody else to say that they could be talking about bullshit about themselves, that won't be making any sense in my life, because I could be doing my part better than anybody else that has been already been done by anybody is, because I'm not at all as is so be to say this, not at all any kind of like say that has been kind of said by myself in kind of mean ways, because my menial kind of like my menstrual cycle for everybody else is not at all my blood that is going to like sip off my like genitals area for everybody else, because I could be letting on everybody else to go menstrual cycle for themselves. I could be like letting everybody else to do the work, and I could be making the perspire do the sweating, and I could be taking the money they breed for themselves and not but definitely for myself, making them do the work on themselves for us to make themselves like not at all being kind of being used by themselves, rather by on their own will for themselves and to do the good for themselves by the, but I'm not all letting anybody else to make sure they could be having to be getting any kind of control over themselves. I could be the one who will be controlling, who will be committing any kind of every form of control on everybody else. That's why I'm not at all anybody else. I'm not at all somebody a part of the, I could be letting myself being kind of not at all part of anybody, any particular entity or any kind of plan, concord, congress, or whatever kind of a conformity. Not at all kind of I could be getting everybody else to do some say of some kind of a thing that has to be done by my side, because I'm very or maybe I'm necessarily or kind of necessarily getting myself into any kind of like vision of my mind to be envisioned by everybody else, because I'm not all ripping off my rappers rhyme. My rapping ability for myself is giving me no kind of other action, so as to hold on everybody else to do that like extent action or maybe 10 action at the same time, because he will be giving no hard time for everybody else, but whenever he will be dropping his beat it will be like making everybody else go fall asleep on itself for, because I could be not at all a big fan of him and not, but definitely I don't know, I won't be talking about anything much about himself for the timing now though, but I have to be making sure that we're making any kind of like commitment or any kind of like commitment about this kind of fact. Having this that could be getting a chance to make sure that I could be rapping about sometimes. That could be definitely being any kind of fact. I don't know what how it could be like taking me into some work. I will be definitely providing myself to make sure I could be like getting myself being intuitively or maybe kind of like not intuitively whatever ways to make sure I can be not at all colliding with him in any kind of way, but definitely I would be having to be doing my work separately so as to get myself being kind of getting some whatever say not at all any kind of support or something, not at all any kind of like collaboration at the same time, because I'm not at his pace, his whatever he could be thinking about himself. I don't be giving like any kind of like criticism for that about me, because I could be know that I could be doing far better than anybody else in the entire galaxy, but still he's kind of a mainstream guy. He could be having to be getting an impact on everybody else. That's not at all my kind of like look out for to say as I'm me, right? Because I could be making on my own, I could be like doing every kind of a thing better than everybody else as a matter of the fact. But still what I like the most is like I like his sound a lot, and I can be making sure that I could be having to be getting myself being exploited in many ways so as to getting myself that I could be using his sound to come up with my own kind of rapping style so as to getting myself that I could be doing the best, and I could be definitely making everybody to do the best from themselves in any kind of way that has to be like done by themselves for the timing now. But definitely by whatever kind of experiences I could be having to be gathered from my life with everybody else, I want to make sure that we were talking about this kind of a thing to make it kind of genuinely sanguinely happen to me, because what is needed to be done is like I could be going solo for myself. I'm not at all any kind of a thing apart from my solitary living for myself, or because I could be so I could be not at all solitary driven by myself. I could be not at all solely being kind of like sorry lucky, I'm kind of luxurious about myself to make sure that we're making any kind of talking. I'm not talking about making any kind of like association, any kind of like distinct continuity, any kind of distinct confirmation about myself to get on everybody else to do act upon whatever they could be feeling like that has been the best on themselves, but not at all the best from me. And no matter how hard I will try on myself to make the best out of every situation, and not at all give a damn for everybody else, but the situation will be turning just upside down or with a reverse way, any kind of way that is kind of like transpository, because not at all any kind of position that will be giving me any kind of association to make sure that we are making the last mark, or that everybody will be making the last mark with a frost mark, giving mark on themselves, and that will be the one that will be always like giving the clap for to everybody else to make sure that I could be like looking myself like a foolish on the mirror, not at all doing any other kind of like activity to make sure that I could be like making the most of every kind of motion, every kind of notion, every kind of situation, and to make everybody else fall prostrate on their face like I'm like over here to cross the ocean and get everybody else about from their self kind of destination, acceleration, and just the position by themselves so as to make sure they could be having to be like lagging behind, not at all leaping the way forward to pass me by, whatever with your step, whatever kind of a non-step, because I could be like the one who is confident standing my ground, where I'm the one who is the crown, I'm the one wearing the crown, I'm the one who is sitting on the throne and letting everybody else do the walk, because they have to be at the pace where they're supposed to come to this top.